Alright. Thanks everyone. We're back with more Falcom RTA Marathon. I am once again GhostKumo, and I'm going to be showing you Toll X. Toll EX, or Extra. Because Toll is the most extra character in this entire series. But also because it's Extra Mode, which is can kind of be called a New Game Plus, but not really. It's just a bonus mode unlocked through the game's arcade shop. And it enables some weird properties on Toll, so we'll go ahead and get started and not waste any more time here. 3, 2, 1, go. You might hear just a little bit of clicking on my keyboard. That is mainly because I am holding down the jump button to advance text, but if you do that, plus hit confirm, it saves a little bit of time as well. Yeah, no, sorry, we won't be doing Unica. I did submit to do Unica in the 2020 marathon, but unfortunately I just had issues with my PS4, and I was just not prepared enough to do that run. We sadly haven't had Unica on the channel since, I think, the first Falcom RTA marathon, which was really just the East Relay back in 2016. So that run is on there, although it's changed quite a bit. But I can probably do Toll with one hand tied behind my back. In fact, I probably should consider trying that at some point, if only to see just how badly I would do. But yeah, so this is, I suppose, my 6th run of this game on this channel. But it's always a delight, and there's always new people to show this game off to, which is really cool. So these are the goddesses Rhea and Fina of East 1 and 2. And yeah, their role in this story is well, so Rhea's kind of like Toll's star-crossed lover, and Fina and, well, both of them are kind of like adoptive sisters, I guess. They're really close to Unica in the story, but we won't be seeing much of Unica because this is Toll's journey. Anyway, so Toll is Mr. Clawman here. He is the brother of Hugo, fact, one of the first 2 playable characters. I don't know why you would play as Hugo, but, you know, to each their own. And he was basically a powerful, like, swordsman who had potential to be a great mage, but, you know, left that responsibility to his brother. And before the events of this game, his mentor, Saul Tova, was killed in battle, and that kind of started his, you know, path down the dark side, which is why his hair is white instead of blonde. Saul Tova being Unica's father. But yeah, now he's just kind of an anti-hero, anti-villain type. Alright, so time to just start breaking things. I run the most broken East games, including East 1. So I'll be running at RPG Limit Break, but I'll be running the not broken one instead of the Sega Master System version, which is completely broken. Anyways, so Toll's mission is just to get stronger. He's kind of working with the bad guys, and he insists that he's evil, but he really, really, really isn't. But yeah, he's basically just going through the tower to defeat strong things to get more power, because edgelord. Toll does have a surprisingly interesting arc, I would say, but we don't really have a lot of time to get over, or get through all that. Alright, so the tutorial is finally over. You'll be seeing me doing a bit of lunging here. Lunging is a double-click attack motion. It is the fastest form of movement on this area by a very small margin, but pretty soon we're gonna just make it really broken. The nice thing is it also gives me defense downs on these enemies. Alright. So this is Cerulean Flabellum, and this gives me the ability to use Godspeed, the wind magic of the game. Total Extra actually adds a fire property to it, which will allow me to skip having to get the third magic, so... but the real cool thing about it, apart from it making me skip important things, is, I can chain it together with a lunge to kind of extend it. We call this a God Lunge. And that's going to be our main form of movement for the rest of the run. So although the PC version of this game is the slowest of the bunch, because it has slower cutscenes, in terms of just execution, it is probably, like, the most rewarding of the bunch to play. It's also probably the most stable version for this character. Oh, come on. I need these guys to not be in my way. Oh, come on. It just ate my magic input there. And it did it again. This is ridiculous. Oh, boy. Just eating my inputs left and right here. Alright, there we go. So I need to do a jump there where I let go of the cursor and then use Godspeed twice. Some of the worst I've done performing that skip, but yeah. Saves a little bit of time. Alright, so we're gonna do another skip here. Surprise, everything in this game is basically clippable. Yep, we do this run with a mouse and keyboard, because that allows for a lot of precise setups for skips to make them pretty easy. To get, like, the exact right angles that I need for certain things. It also allows me to double-click to do lunge, rather than releasing the joystick, which is definitely a steeper learning curve, in my opinion. Most of these skips can be done on console, it's just they're way harder and more inconsistent. Alright, so I picked up a Rotofruit to give to this Rue. Rue thanks me with this item called the Claria Ore, and the Claria Ore tempers my weapon, which increases strength. And if you know anything about Falcom's design philosophy with East games at this time, they were really big on single points of strength mattering a lot more than they should. So it's basically the difference between doing like 7 damage to a boss and doing like 1. Just ate my jump input. I'm just having dropped inputs all over the place. That's annoying. Alright, so clip through this door. And these red bats here are really annoying. I can only do 1 damage to them on the ground, but you'll see that I can actually do a lot of, I can do a lot more damage if I hit them when they're in the air, which is why I'm luring them over to the walls so I can repeatedly just jump attack them. Arise! Arise already! Okay, he just doesn't want to cooperate. We'll do things the slow way then. There we go. Alright, so in this cutscene, Toll gains the power of Boost, which lets him go dark purple and do a bunch of things. We need Boost to get past the vacuum room that sucked me back in earlier. The Japanese runners affectionately refer to it as the Dyson room, because it's a giant vacuum. And also because the room sucks. I don't know what they were thinking with this room on Nightmare. You don't have enough boost to make this room work. Alright, but instead of killing the enemies here to get past the barrier, I'm just gonna do a skip. Or try to, I guess. There's a 90-second cutscene attached to this room, and that's slow, so... I got this first try last marathon run I did of this game. Sad thing is, like, I have basically 4 attempts to try this before it just finally gets to being too slow to be worth it. Come on, it's eating my lunges. Oh my god. It's just eating my lunges. Yeah, whichever one of you in chat is eating my inputs, can you please stop? I know they sound tasty, but, like, I need them for a speedrun. Come on, man. I don't know what's going on here. Alright. There we go. Thank you. Jesus Christ. It's like the indicator changed on me or something. It's a relatively consistent skip. I don't know why it was giving me so much trouble there. So now I just need to get up to 83. The nice thing about level ups in this game is they're entirely consistent. So if you hear me say I need to get to a certain level, I note it by how much HP I have on the bottom left. Alright. Oh. Another skip, come on. There we go. So yeah, you can skip through basically every purple barrier in this game. They're pretty easy to skip through. Except for the Dyson room, apparently. And by apparently, I mean definitely. We've kind of known that room to be really finicky. I unfortunately didn't have as much room to practice it this morning as I would have liked, but that was still really bad. Alright, so this is the first, like, real boss to run. There is another boss, but we completely skip him because everything in this game gets skipped in some way, except for, like, the most absolutely essential things. So, I really want to make sure that I get this guy in 4 cycles. Every cycle, when you hit him, he's like drops these like little bug things that he's gonna suck back in to try and heal himself with. So really seeing the power of the jump attack in this fight. Oh, that was actually a really clean belly gunner for the most part, and I ruined it. Oh, shoot. I so instinctively hit split there. Let me fix that. Apologies for the pause there. I'd like to have the timer going accurately. Oopsies. I forgot to make dummy splits. That's what I usually do for marathons when I'm running the timer. Alright. This is Epina. She's not really that important in this story. She's more important in Hugo's and Unica's. But she's basically here to tell us, hey, your idiot brother's walking around the tower, and you need to go find him and smack him in the face. So, the question in chat is, what is the best order to play the East games? It's a tough question, because the first game in this series is 35 years old. And it's rather dated in some ways, so it really depends on how willing to, like, play old games you are. I usually say Origin is a good starting point. It starts you off at the earliest point in the story. It's just a consistently solid game with a decent self-contained narrative that also ties into the world building and lore of later games. The games relatively are self-contained. The only three that are back to back to back are Origin 1 and 2. And usually you want to save 9 for last. There's a lot of references to past games in 9, and I don't think it's quite as fulfilling if you play 9 before you play the others. If you want to just start with the best, I would say play 8. And there's certain plot threads in 8. I feel like they're less annoying if you they're less annoying if you're not as familiar with the series, to be honest. But yeah, they can be generally played in just about any order. They're pretty self-contained. So, because I can't get any skips first try this run, apparently, I'm just gonna keep failing this clip here. Come on. Alright. So I really want to get levels in this part. I also really want to get the drops from enemies here. So this here just lets me just improves my max running speed, or my normal running speed, which does help a little bit, despite the fact that I'm going to be zooming through most of the game. This area is probably my favorite dungeon theme in the game. This game really is just one giant dungeon, but it's separated into various different parts that I think really compartmentalize it really well. So what I want to get by the end here is 5 strength and MP regen speed 3 times. Each little potion gives me plus 1/2 strength, like 0.5. Each big one gives me +1 up to a max of +5 and ×3 for MP regen, which is like I think 0.2 per little potion and 0.4 for each big one. I pick up the chain there because this next boss is a pain in the neck. I'd like to get some like to have as much stats as I can because it's a pretty variable boss. Just to be the most annoying one in the entire run. I'm gonna try my luck here. Oh, fantastic, fantastic. That enemy dropped exactly what I needed. This is Hugo. he's basically tasked with eliminating any threats to East, and because Toll is sided with the guy who literally fired a giant laser at the continent of East, he's kind of the enemy in this instance. Toll just calls him out for being kind of a puppet to his father. But Hugo just retaliates. Anyway, dumb boss fight time, so serious time. So that's Hugo. I mostly got the quick kill. I was like, getting hit by the heavy there just caused me to like mess up at the very end, run out of boost when he was at a very small fraction of health and fires his laser. But of course, Hugo's rescued by NPCs here who are a lot more relevant to the other stories in this game. It's kind of a recurring theme with the Toll story is, to have gotten here, you had to have at least played one other story in this game, so it kind of just glosses over a number of things, which is kind of nice for replays. It's not nearly as exposition heavy. So this is Kishko. He's Mr. Cutscene. He just kind of shows up and just rambles about things, about power and nonsense. And also, you know, tips for what to do next, I guess, because just about every cutscene is kind of meant to diegetically do that. Anyways, Kishko's the guy who killed Saltova, because he was seeking strong people. But we don't get our revenge for that for a little while. Anyways, Clarior, buffs our strength. The nice thing about Toll is he tempers his weapon himself. All the other characters, they have to work back to a screen at the beginning of the tower. So that's actually a harder jump than it looks. I have to let go of the cursor and do 2 rapid dashes with Godspeed. Strange camera angle there. But yeah, Toll doesn't have to temper his weapons. But yeah, so now he gets access to the Water Dragon scales. It is the Hydra scales in Celceta. I got it backwards when I played that. My bad. But those allow me to breathe underwater. I could technically get past that previous screen without them, but this one is a giant pain in the neck otherwise. So it's better to just get them, especially because I need the Clarior anyway, and they're right there. So, one thing you might have seen is I kind of brush up against walls as often as possible when I'm moving Toll in this game. The reason for that is if your character is moving alongside a wall on like their right side, it actually accelerates all of their movement, or enhances all of their movement. So this includes sinking. We'll see I'm actually falling faster than I would if I was just sitting idle. As long as I'm brushing up against a wall, and we call this wall running. Even though I'm technically wall swimming here at this point. But it's why my movement looks so odd here. As long as you're brushing up against something on the right side at an angle just shy of parallel. Big part of why we have the mouse cursor. Yeah, it allows me to jump higher, run faster. My Godspeeds are accelerated. Like, all forms of movement are accelerated when you're doing that. So this is 11 Strike Hammer. It gives me the Thunder Claw, which I do need to beat the game. It is possible to skip getting it here, but I'll eventually run into something I need it for, so... question was brought up in chat. How often do I forget the Water Dragon scales? Nice, I got that skip second try and first try on each attempt there. It's just a simple 45-degree angle clip I use the arrow keys for. But anyways, how often do I die with the Water Dragon scales? I don't, but it is a rite of passage for runners. Every runner has forgotten it at least once. And has died and lost a run to forgetting to equip the Water Dragon scales. To be fair, I don't know why it's not in the like equip menu as the proper accessory. Because when you go to warp, it de-equips it for some reason. So I get my level up there, which gives me a full heal and enough strength to deal with the next fight. And this route here is optional, but he gives me a topaz, which is going to make the next boss significantly easier. You could, in theory, save 5 seconds not getting this topaz, and getting it at a later point, but that makes this next boss extremely risky, so it's the kind of strat you basically only do on a dead run. Like it's just, or like a mostly dead run that is just clinging to life at that point. Come on. There we go. So, God lunge past the purple barricade, and then just charge Godspeed at the correct angle to get through here, and I should not be having trouble with this. There we go. Man, I've been having, like, the worst luck. And by worst luck, I mean worst execution. I know those are two different things, but I'm kind of losing my train of thought here at how bad some of this is going. So this is Neek Tilger. Giant centipede. Everybody shoutouts to Tuxdev. He's gonna be... I think he's running East 1 later tonight if he didn't yesterday. Forgot about that part of the schedule. But he's gonna be racing this. He's gonna be racing East 1 with me and Dolwolf at RPG Limit Break this year in person. And he has a special attachment to this boss, albeit the East 1 version rather than this version. What the? Oh my god! Oh, this sucks. I guess I pressed Q and accidentally switched my. What the heck? What? Why is it just eating my Thunder Claws here? This is really bad. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Alright. Well, I killed all the spikes, but it took so long that he actually got back up on the ceiling here. Oh, there's another spike. What in the heck? Come on. One mechanical error and I die. Yo, nice. I got Tuxdev. This fight isn't free. This fight is not free, but he's usually not this much of a nuisance. Oh shoot, this might drag me over estimate. Come on. Why are the spikes not dying, dude? Like, don't take this many hits to kill. Come on. Now, the strength bonus doesn't really affect anything in this fight. There we go. What a bad run. Oh well. I'm having a good time. So yeah, I got one spin on him, which is not great, but could be worse. It does up to 3 spins, and it's kind of random whether or not you're even able to hit him. No, there's no way they updated this game. They haven't touched this game in in years, I don't think. Now, the nice thing about bosses in this game is afterwards you get these kind of lengthy cutscenes, which I know those aren't ideal for speedrunning, but I just don't like them at the intro. I don't mind them after bosses because they're just like welcome breaks. That kind of compartmentalize this run really well. Anyways, just some flashback cutscenes. Kind of this little romantic scene here with Toll and Rhea, and Rhea's just like saying how weak she feels, and he's like, man, if you were like half the person people think you are, you're still better than basically everyone. It's kind of a neat little scene actually in a lot of ways. But we don't have enough time for a lot of cutscenes, so instead I'm just gonna go through Guilty Fire here, and Guilty Fire has a mid-boss that's coming up soon that we're just not going to deal with. Yeah, I used up all my good luck during Salsetta, I guess. So, I'm not supposed to be able to light those torches with Godspeed, but thanks to Toll Extra, they add a fire property to Godspeed, which lets me just light torches. And so, the mid-boss is, like, in a room just north of here. But it's tied to about 7 minutes of cutscenes, and then like 1 minute of a really, really free boss. So it's not particularly interesting. Well, I guess we're just back to eating inputs again. So yeah, Toll Extra just skips like 8 minutes of content that's like almost entirely cutscene and like a really free boss fight. We don't talk about the Deer of Time Loss, he's been retired. So I love this scene in this run. The Devil's Corridor here is just this room with this like poisonous noise going on that just sucks the life out of you. Toll decides that he's not quite evil yet after his interaction with a goddess that has never happened because we skipped that cutscene. He decides to save Unica, partly because, you know, she's the daughter of his mentor, so he owes that to her. So he saves this girl that he's never met because we skipped the cutscene that she's in, and he gives her this sword which belonged to her father, which Toll gets in a cutscene that we've also skipped. So the cool thing about the Devil's Corridor here is there's a different way to get through it with every character. Unica purifies the room like of its noise with the harmonica. Hugo just breaks the pipes that are funneling the bad noise into the room, and Toll just brute forces it. So earlier we picked up a Rotafruit, gives us we can exchange for this Ring of Ease, which makes it so that I use 20% less magic. gets me a few more Godspeeds per. And we can just skip that barrier. Now that barrier is a little bit finicky on its skip. It doesn't have a particularly good visual indicator, and if your angle is off by too much, you can end up clipping through the floor. There's not a lot of clips in this game through like vertical platforms, like clipping under or over things. And there's no out of bounds in this game because anytime you get out of bounds, the game immediately ejects you back in bounds to the last point that it knew you were at, which happens surprisingly often. Like if you run into like a corner and you like Godspeed into it, and there's nothing on the other side, it can just eject you like a place that you just were like 4 seconds ago. Alright, it's time for the grind. So I need to get myself to at least 169. So far, so good on this grind. I have to give a shout out to Haramaki, the record holder in this game and category. His ability to get these grinds quickly is nothing short of incredible. Hey, I said 100 beforehand, so it's not as funny of a number. Alright, so this is Gilaldi. He's really, really nasty in East 2, but in East Origin, he's kind of cool looking, I think. So this is the demo boss, and a lot of people don't realize that the trick in this fight is to always keep moving and not jump until after he's hit you. So the ideal fight here, well, the perfect fight here is 3 cycles, but that's impossible until EX, so the ideal fight until EX is 4. Now one thing you'll see me do is I'm steering him towards the back of the room. And this is because the load zone for the next area is back here, so I'm trying to like... Oh my god. That sucks. I'm trying to end this fight closer to the back. There we go. Huh? Very strange. Oh my... I want to curse! I want to curse, but this is a PG-13 stream, so I'm... Yes, so we do intentionally take damage in this fight, but I don't know how I didn't get that cycle. Like, he just went back up way faster than he usually does. Oh, what can you do? Yeah, so as you can see, this run is done on the easy difficulty, which makes some of these things a lot easier, but not really. This is a remarkably difficult run to learn. Come on! What the hell, dude? Stop eating my jumps! For... It's eaten so many of my jumps. This is ridiculous. And now I'm gonna get the long attack. Yeah, I might die again. This is ridiculous. What the hell? Come on! This fight would have been done like 3 minutes ago, but... Oh my god, dude. Sorry, I lifted my knee up and hit my desk real bad there. Oh no. Oh, he hit me. He hit me. So... There we go. And again with the just eaten inputs. Like, this is ridiculous. Sorry, I'm trying to maintain my composure here, but like... This is like the worst marathon like performance I've had, and it doesn't feel like my fault. Some of it is, but like... This level of drop inputs is just obscene. Alright. That, I think, was tilt. I should have just taken the extra level, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna get the extra long attack here. Or not. Okay, that's fine. So we do intentionally take damage because getting boost replenishes a lot quicker. Come on, come on. There we go. Okay. Shameful display, but we got through it. First try, let's go. Yeah, to anyone who's ever, like, looked at a speedrun of this game and wondered what, like... It was like, oh, you run on the easy difficulty, that makes it easy. It really isn't. There's actually quite an extensive difficulty curve to learning this run, like, to trying to do it optimally. And a lot of that fight, it's just like, you have to take damage in that fight if you want it to at all be fast. Otherwise, you're just letting him get extra cycles. If you're, like, and you're also doing it at a lower level than the game really wants you to, so... All right, this is gonna be quite a bit overestimate, I imagine, but we'll see. Yeah, there's a lot of clips too that have their own learning curve. It is a fun run. I just happen to get the worst Galaldi performance I've ever given on a marathon, but that's just how it happens. Sometimes. Yeah, I I kicked my desk by like it ended up like I'm not pressing the mute mic button. Not bad. No, I'll be fine. It's not bad. Didn't hurt. It's just like, yeah, I did it again. It was less extreme this time, but it spikes my microphone. Sorry, I'm just trying to get through the tilt a little bit right now and just like, not let that happen again, because this next area is actually pretty tough as well, and the area after that, for a while. I'm not playing on a controller, so if you're trying to insinuate something with my controller, it's it's not how it goes. Alrighty, so the cutscene here, this is when Toll gave Rhea the harmonica, and she plays Fina's theme. It's funny that this theme is called Fina, and then they give it to Rhea in this game. Anyways, yeah, she does. Very true, Taxeb. I can't time you out, Wells. You're a mod. Don't worry, I'm good. We're good for the rest of the run here. That was tilting, to say the least. Alright, so the next thing I need to do is, apparently, like, have more things go wrong. Come on. Sand here is really annoying. So I need to make sure these enemies, like, aren't aggroed by Godspeed. So I wait till they're over there, and then I can clip through this barrier. There we go. Because I don't have Fire Tornado, I have to kind of get creative with my movement here. There we go. And I have to kind of resort to a backup strat in order to get through this door. Alright. So I'm quite underleveled for this part, but thankfully with Charged Thunderclaw and the Godspeed defense down, I can kill these guys relatively quickly. Yeah, I agree, the desert themes in these games are usually really good. Although there's not a ton of deserts in East, I don't think. For being such a stereotypical JRPG locale, there's not a ton of them. And yet there happens to be one in this tower. So this screen actually uses a rather unique strat. It's the only room where the actual like speed strat is to use the downward thrust that I seem to fail here. I do a downward thrust to stun the enemies and kind of pulls them together, and then I can hit them with a regular Thunderclaw and it just one-shots them pretty much. So this cutscene here is basically just Bria, you know, reconnecting with Toll and kind of establishing, hey, you're not actually that bad of a guy. And he's like, but I am bad. Look at me. I can turn into a demon. And she's like, yeah, BS. So she also happens to have the Black Pearl with her, which is what we're looking for. If you remember the East 2 run from yesterday, the Black Pearl's kind of a big, dark, powerful MacGuffin, kind of like the Mask of the Sun was in East 4 / Salceda. So there seem to be a lot of those just sitting around. But because, you know, Toll can't hurt the woman he loves, he doesn't capture her, despite that being his basic mission. And she gives him the silver chimes, which lets him kill undead things. There is a chance that you might actually see it in the run, but we're not going to be using it here because we don't really need levels in this area, because we're just going to do some pretty big skips here coming up. I'm going to see if I can't get this skip in a couple tries. There we go. Fourth try, not bad. What I don't have a particularly consistent setup on, so it just kind of comes down to the getting the right angle and praying. It only saves a few seconds, so you want to get it within the first few tries, but it is generally worth going for. Yeah, as alluded to in chat here, there's a lot of these like scarabs that just like, because you have very little hit stun in this game. Oh my god, come on. Because you have very little hit stun in this game, the scarabs can just like repeatedly just smack into you. So we're going to do another clip here, and this skips the entirety of the Rados Annex portion of the run, which saves, like, gosh, 4 or 5 minutes of cutscenes. I wonder if I just need a new keyboard, because I've had this problem in other games relatively recently. So I killed that enemy so I can safely do that clip. You can't normally clip out of bounds like that, but on convex corners like that, if there's something on the other side, you can clip through them. Yo, I got the skip. Nice. We're running it back. Let's go. Yes, this is ice sand, basically. It's sand, but it's slippery. I don't know how that makes any sense, but, you know, it's cool. So, clip through the door here. You can clip through both the door and the pink barrier without having to deal with the enemy here. It's just, the setup's a little janky. There we go. Alright, so what I just did there is I jumped over the boss trigger. Thanks to wall running, it accelerates my speed, but it also increases my jump height. And we can just completely skip past that boss, which is really nice, because it's the worst boss in the game. Nobody likes that boss. There's a lot of regen, a lot of janky properties. It sucks. It's just a bad boss fight. And I'm way too underleveled to try for it, so the fact that I can skip it is really nice, especially because the next level, the next area will give me so much catch-up EXP that I don't need the levels here. So, Hugo finally starts to see Toll a little bit differently, and Toll's like, hey, I'm gonna help you guys now. But, Hugo gets tempted with power, because he's a petulant little sniveling, I had a word that I was going to use, and I stopped myself, because I promised I wouldn't say any swear words, no matter how, well, any, like, serious swear words. No matter how bad this run ended up going. And I'd like to hold myself to that, despite how badly I'm playing. But, yeah, we have uttered many a terrible thing about Hugo in the past. His run itself also is just lacking in, like, speed tech. Although he can do Konsklar's skip, which is this boss skip that I did. Which is one of the few bits of, like, actually neat things that he can do. On the playground, I might have referred to him as a poopy doo-doo head. You can probably use your imagination for other terms that I would use to describe Hugo. Anyway, he's a sniveling little younger brother complex. So, yeah, let's try this skip here, see if I can't get it on a couple tries. This one only saves like 5 seconds, and that's if you get it perfectly. So I'm not even going to bother wasting my time. For whatever reason, I've just had the worst... I've had the worst time trying to get that skip anymore, so I just don't go for it in marathon runs after like a couple attempts. This area is rather tough. Enemies here hit really hard, especially because, you know, I was supposed to have levels from the previous area. He's the younger brother that you give the unplugged controller to. I like that. Yeah, so since I'm under-leveled for this part, things hit like a truck. I can basically die in like 4 attacks on this difficulty, which is not a lot, surprisingly, even if it is on easy, because I only have the tier 2 armor and I haven't upgraded the boots. We will be getting an upgraded pair of boots very soon. But, yeah. So these enemies here, they don't take much damage, but they just so happen to be in a room with this toxic red goo. So I can basically just stick them in the water and just have them all poison themselves to death. fellow runner of this game from the early days. He hasn't run it since like 2015, but a runner by the name of Spoody Biscuit, more known for like Necrodancer and Descent. He's one of the early pioneers of a lot of strats in this game, and one of the first like runners to really push this game down. He calls that room the pool party strat, and I like that name, so I'm gonna call it that. That's why I call it that. Alright, so here's where I get the tier 5 boots. This just happens to be the most convenient place to get boots. That means that I can take a few more hits, which, since Charged Thunderclaw actually gives a sort of healing property, it makes this grinding portion a lot more safe. So as you can see, the enemies here give a lot of EXP. I get like 4 levels on this screen, or 3 levels on this screen. Almost 4. I meant to touch on this earlier, but, you know, distractions. Every time you hit an enemy, you get 1% additional bonus experience up to a multiplier of 1.99, so you can effectively double your experience so long as you're constantly in combat. Alright, so we got speed past that, and come on, let me get this skip for once. Dang. That's unfortunate. So you can actually jump over this boss's trigger as well, but the angle for it is really tricky. You can do this with any character, although Hugo's is really annoying. That being said, this boss is like pretty doable without getting the skip successfully. So failing the skip only costs like a minute, basically. And I guess I'm dying again because I'm just hitting him. Like, I guess this is just my life now. Alright. You do typically take a lot of damage in this fight, but like, I was getting hit by those spikes just like in ways that don't normally happen. Yes, this boss stinks. He can heal himself. He's gonna jump again. So despite the fact that this fight actually does take a little bit of time, it's offset by the fact that he, oh, I was on the wrong side of the screen. Oopsies. There's a little optimization there, but, the fact that you do that fight is, offset somewhat by the fact that he gives you a lot of EXP. So here's just kind of the final reconnection between these two. Toll finally asks for her hand. He wants her help. And you get this nice little CG here. Oh wait, no, it's not this cutscene that it happens in. There's another cutscene. Anyways, so Kiko's been tempted by power because he's just a sniveling little snot, and unloads all of his magic on Toll right at the key moment here, which means that they now have the Black Pearl, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure the gods in this series have the ability to like warp anywhere. I don't know. You don't overthink video game logic too badly. We're just gonna get utterly owned. Alright, so this is Shion. He's the boss that we skipped. No, the other boss that we skipped. And he gives us the Lila Shell, which lets us interact with the party at the base of the tower that the other two get. At this point, it's more just a sign, like a formality that, like, hey, you're part of the team now, because normally the Lila Shell is like a, hey, here's where you go next kind of pointer. But, if you've gotten to Toll, you know what to do, so, yeah. By the way, I recommend listening to the super arranged version of this track. It's got this really, like, just, I'm like forgetting the word. It's a very jazzy term. It's got this really cool saxophone part. Stanky. It's a very stanky saxophone solo, and I love it. But even in the base game, this music here is pretty good. So... and another drop jump. Lovely. So... This armor here is the Brave Armor. It's the final armor in the game, and if I don't equip it, the run is basically dead. Surprisingly, despite how many marathon unsaved things there are, like, because there's a safety save system, I haven't had to, like, do very many saves. But I haven't messed up anything that would render the run invalid, so it is technically still a valid run, even if it's not a good one. Alright, so skip through the door here, and this is Kishko. Making 100% sure I didn't forget to equip the Brave Armor. So Kishko's funny. He has like a third headband on for some dumb reason, and it looks like his head is just like extended. I just canceled his attack. That doesn't happen very often. So Kishko here is a very aggro fight because you really don't want to lose your EXP multiplier in this fight. There we go. It's a pretty mediocre Kishko fight, but I mean, I'll take any that live. This fight, at the level you do in an any % run, if you don't get Pictimo skip, you do this fight at 278 instead of 284, and it is a huge difficulty spike for whatever reason. That single level makes a ton of difference. And yes, he is by far the most difficult part of running this game on Nightmare difficulty. Now, the difficulties don't actually change a ton in terms of the actual strats. Like, the only difference is on normal and higher, you don't start boss fights with extra meter. It replenishes to, or it depletes all the way down to 0. So basically, you just end up sandbagging in a lot of those fights, and they look about the same on all difficulties. Easy, you're given more opportunities to take hits, but as a result, you do fights at lower levels, and you end up taking damage deliberately to try and make them fast. Or in the case of me with Galaldi earlier, you kind of have to face tank a number of attacks in order to like have enough time in the cycles, and as a result, just things can happen. There are safe ways to do the fights. I just made the mistake of going into Galaldi at 169 instead of 175. Which is a lot safer. Yeah, unfortunately you can't skip the door into the mirror maze, which is why I go to fight Kishko and get the rod. It'd be a pretty big time save otherwise. And yes, every runner has fallen down that pit at least once, so there's another one of your rites of passage. So, we can't clip through there, but there is a corner clip that we can do over here, so I'm going to try for that. And miss it, I guess, because it just ate my, my lunge. But, you know, what else is new? It's only a 5-second time save, so it's not a huge deal if I mess it up. Yeah, you need the rod to get access to this area. It's kind of an allusion to East 1, where you need an item called the rod. It's just called the rod in all versions of East 1. In order to skip into the mirror area, which has one of my favorite tracks in this game. I think it's one of Yuzo Koshira's best contributions to the East series. So we took kind of a weird path through the maze of mirrors in order to get the Claria ore so that we could have max strength for this fight. So this is Zava. This fight's pretty free on all difficulties, just on the basis of you can actually enter this fight invulnerable to damage. I didn't do so because on the easier difficulty, it's not really a time save. In fact, I generally find getting it on this difficulty to be actually worse, because you have to, A, you have to try for it, and B, I find Zava having or Toel having a hitbox in this fight actually makes this fight a little bit more consistent. I usually perform the trick just to show it off, but we're already so far behind in this run that I'm just not going to do that. This is probably going to be like a 133, 134, I'm thinking. So these are Yogurts and Omogoon, or Yogurt and Omelet as we sometimes affectionately refer to them. You'll see more of them in East 1, where they're the most annoying boss in that game, casually, but are like kind of a joke in the speedrun. Come on, Zava. Oh, that's unfortunate. Thankfully, she didn't do her worst attack, and just went straight into the heads. Yeah, that fight could have definitely gone way worse. Anyways, Zava decides to go Berserk mode, because all the bad guys in this game decide to go Berserk mode at least once, and she just starts summoning waves of guys. But, Toel doesn't actually kill any of the villains in this game, at least till the last one. Kinda just leaves that to the brigade of characters that are, supposed to be the good guys that you see in the other stories. So this guy here is Galion. He's actually the first boss of the game, but we completely skipped him. You're supposed to fight him to get the key into the room with the bats, but because, you know, we clipped through that door, we just don't need that key. Now, true any percent, and I suppose Total EX as well, it doesn't have it in the run now, but it could at some point. You would use a very janky skip in that room in order to actually get a certain accessory that actually increases your attack but decreases your defense. Harumaki, the record holder and resident champion of this game, does that in the Total any percent world record, but hasn't incorporated it into EX, which if he ever came back to that on PC, he'd probably be able to just, you know, crush his record. For the record, world record in this category is a 113.37, and yeah, that's by Harumaki, who is just an utter machine with this game. We had him for the Questing for Glory, Hope, and Healing race, which, to be fair, also didn't go super well for me. As unfortunately been my luck with this game in marathons on this channel of late. But he had like a phenomenal run there. So if you check anyone, like, for this game, definitely follow Harumaki. He's a machine. He's also a cool guy. Alright, well, I did just kill the run there. But, thankfully I have a backup save. That... I don't know what that Windows alert was. I'm gonna pretend it didn't happen. No, I just can't beat the boss. If I don't get this clip, I just angled my cursor wrong. I didn't get enough. There we go. So, I know if I got this trick correctly, because it depends on where Toll is standing when he enters this fight. So yeah, now this run is technically invalid, but I will finish it off just so we get the end of the run. Although again, this will be quite a bit overestimate. So the way Godspeed works with all of its clips is there's a few frames in which Toll's hitbox just disappears in the animation of Godspeed, and normally with like clips and stuff, like you just kind of disappear and then reappear behind the door and whatnot. But if you enter a boss fight like this, and the boss fight doesn't spawn any 3D objects, you don't have a hitbox in the fight, which means, like, I can just run right through Hugo here, but I also can just not take damage. And this is key because this fight just hurts really bad. Like, trying to beat this fight legit is really difficult and inconsistent with the stats and items that I have right now. In fact... that ended up happening to me in the race we did for Questing for Glory Open Healing, and then that stalled me on that fight for many minutes. Doo-dee-doo, doo-dee-doo. So we finally snapped Hugo out of his little mental possession, I guess you could say. He calls Toll a jackass, which, to be fair, Toll is kind of a jackass. But we get as a reward for beating Hugo and snapping him out of this state this goddess ring, which was, I believe, given to him by the goddess. It for other characters, you get an item that makes it so they can die once in a fight. But Toll, he doesn't get the 1-up, but he does get +5 strength and defense. What the game doesn't tell you is it actually still keeps the MP reduction, or the MP cost reduction of the Ring of Ease. And again, those 5 points of strength make a huge difference. This fight is way, way more annoying without it. Alright, so we're on the final boss gauntlet, and this takes about, gosh, 10-11 minutes. So Toll here is just given a motivational speech and told to use the power of the Goddess Ring to break through Dallas's barrier, and this is going to let us fight Dallas properly. Alright, so this is a 3-phase fight, and the fact that I don't have fire magic would normally be a problem because his 3rd phase really wants me to have fire magic, but there's just enough on my Godspeed that I can get through that. I'm trying to steer him in a way that he doesn't drag himself out of bounds, which he can do, and it makes this fight really annoying. And he's doing it. That's annoying. Back here. So I'm able to bypass the entire 3rd part of that phase there. Because as it turns out, when you use Godspeed, it actually has a piercing effect in the extra difficulty, whenever in the extra mode. I really want to avoid that summoning circle he does here, because that gets me into an undodgeable attack that wastes 13 seconds. It has a pretty long-lasting hitbox. Now, the nice thing about this fight is it's pretty easy, honestly. Even on Nightmare difficulty, I'd say this fight's generally pretty easy, outside of one particular attack in which you basically have to boost. And some of that is just the fact that because the previous fight you are invulnerable, you guaranteed get double EXP, so you end up going into this fight on pretty much every difficulty pretty healthily leveled up. But yeah, this is the longest cutscene in the game. You get about 4.5 minute long cutscene, and then a 2-minute final boss, and that is going to be where time is. So in descends this strange gray-haired figure who vaguely looks familiar and just impales Dallas with great prejudice. So this is Kane Fact. He's basically Toll and Hugo's father. Kind of not a good guy. In fact, pretty much everyone with the Fact name, other than well, actually, no. Pretty much everyone with the Fact name has at some point gone and done something terrible. In fact, Toll's probably the one who does the least. So, and here he intends to absorb the power. He also reveals that he was the one who set up this scenario in which Saltova was wounded before Kishko ended up killing him. So he's basically been kind of pulling the strings throughout the game, and it's kind of alluded to here and there in Hugo and Toll's story, but it really comes out full force. Toll is basically meant to be the true ending of this game. And it is basically the canon ending. Every character has a different, they have different events take place. It's kind of one of the nice things that adds a little bit of replayability is You can see each character's story as their own respective thing. Anyways, this is the burst attack. It's Toll's super that you're supposed to unlock, but you really just never do. If you get this far in this game without ever using it, you get an achievement. But, you know, just in the nick of time, we get saved by a literal Deus Ex Machina. You know, God of the Machine, that being what Deus Ex Machina translates to. And so, a god, or goddess in this case, gives us a nice piece of metal. This is the Silver Sword. If you're familiar with Ys 1, the Silver Sword is what you need to defeat the final boss of Ys 1, so it's kind of a callback to that. Turns out it's Toll's sword. And also the opening starts playing, which means this game is officially anime as hell. I mean, it's been anime the entire time, healing, but especially so here. We sadly skipped the FMVs. The opening to this game is actually really good. But yeah, so the Silver Sword, so the Silver Sword, was told, you know, several hundred years before the events of Ys 1. This is kind of, you know, meant to be this grand prequel that sets up the series. Normally you just need it to be able to damage Dark Fact, but in this game, it lets you shoot out lasers of light. Which is, a lot more interesting in my opinion. So this is Darm. Again, boss from East 2, although the Darm fight in East 2 is kind of more of a jump, I guess. So I do intentionally sandbag, but there's an extremely low risk of dying in this fight because I'm just so overleveled. Now, there's 4 phases here with this guy where I have to hit the Black Pearl. And each one will only end up amounting to like 20% of his final health bar. It keeps replenishing. But, it's random where the pearl spawns, so this is some amount of RNG luck at play. And I did that somehow. That should be fine. Alright. So first on a few, second on a couple others. Alright, and now he's going to enter his final phase, which I really want to break this, like, tentacle shield around him before the screen fully assembles. And that allows me to get a lot of damage off here. And that's time. So 133.44, not good, but I mean, I was expecting a 134 after everything, so I'll take it. I do apologize. My earlier play and general sense of tilt was not good, but we covered it pretty much after Darm. One death on Victimos stinks, but I didn't die to Kishko. And the second half was a lot better than the first half, so That'll do it for me. We got plenty more runs coming up here. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the ending cutscene here. I'm mostly just gonna let the next couple games speak for themselves. Alright, fade to white, a whole bunch of stuff happens. I got a notification that said OBS crashed. I don't know how that happened. Alright. But thanks everyone for watching. Apparently it didn't actually crash, but it is funny that it's telling me that it did. Thanks everyone for watching. Next up's gonna be East Book 1 and 2, the TurboGrafx 16 version, which is pretty awesome. That'll be done by Rhythm Song. So yep, I hope y'all enjoyed Salsetta, Origin, and East 1 Sega Master System.